What is everybody? It is Jaiden Cable with Home of Fight. Today, I am with Derek Moneyberg. How are you doing today, man?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. And all right, well, obviously, you just recently did an interview with Ariel Helwani, one of the toughest journalists in combat sports. Did you actually enjoy that back and forth, or did it feel a bit too confrontational?
I mean, Ariel's he likes to poke and he's trying to be very aggressive, and I understand that. So I think it was good for both of us, and I have nothing negative to say about him at all. So I appreciate he invited me on. He made me the premier guest of the day and did an in-studio interview. That's thoughtful. That's nice. And but yeah, he's in a position where, his audience is a lot of Twitter people that are like, poke at him this way, poke at him that way, So he's in a position that if he doesn't do a tough interview, then he's going to catch a lot of flack from his audience. And I don't mind it at all. I dealt with a lot tougher things in my life than Ariel Helwani. So again, that's not even a poke at him. But yeah, I think it was good for both of us. I think intelligent people that are capable of thought, which a lot of people simply aren't, that I think I looked very good. And I think I was able to tell a story more coherently, over a period of time. And I think for his audience, they're like, make sure you poke at him this way. Then he checked those boxes. And I think it was a good thing for both of us.
So if you could go back in time and, choose if you would have done that interview or not, you would have still done it?
Sure. Mm-hmm. No, I got tremendous response. The DMs are very favorable. Again, the public comments are... You can't satisfy the public. So, when I say this, people get offended but only if they self-identify. But, a lot of people, 50% of people are below average by definition. That's how math works. So yeah. A lot of people don't like math, especially the ones that are in the bottom 50%. They don't understand math and they don't emotionally, it doesn't sound fun or good to them. They're just like, fuck that guy. That guy's mean. That guy called us dumb. Well, they can't even write a sentence in the comments. Just bullet points. But I can't satisfy those people. Nobody can. They're not mad at me. They're mad at themselves. They're not mad at me. They're not mad at my coach. They're not mad at Ariel. They're not mad at you. They're mad at themselves. So I don't give a shit what they think. It doesn't matter what they think.
And then also, I mean, I just highlighted what you just said. I just heard something. You said the top 50% or bottom 50%. What did you mean by that? I didn't really catch that.
I said 50% of the audience is below average in intelligence by definition. And you're never going to satisfy those people. There's nothing you could do. Look what happens when a guy that I think of is like Kamaru Usman, okay? Who we're not close friends, but we know each other. We spent time together a few times. He's a guy that I respect. That the guy is a 6-time champion. He worked his ass off. He had an amazing work ethic. And, he loses his belt. After being 6-time champion, he loses his belt to Leon Edwards. And there's a, somewhat famous picture of Kamaru being knocked out on the floor. Well, he won the first 4 rounds, and he won the first 4 minutes of the last round, and then he got caught. And that's how that business is, man. It's a tough business. And, but then the public, do they treat him fairly? Do they say, hey, this guy's a 6-time champion who was winning that fight, but then he got caught by another extremely talented man? Do they treat him fairly, or they say, oh, he was never any good. I never liked that guy, piece of shit. It's disgusting the way those people talk. So when I say I don't care what they think, I think they wouldn't be invited to spend time with me. I would never spend time with those people. You wouldn't want to spend time with those people. If you think at all, you wouldn't want to spend time with those people. So the type of people that have time to make some of those nasty public internet comments, who cares? So they wouldn't be qualified to clean my toilet. They wouldn't be allowed to wash the rims on my vehicles. All right. So you can't be concerned about that. You have to talk to the few people that they're actually listening. They're actually capable of thinking and forming their own opinions. And unless you're a politician, you're not in the business of winning over the mob. Maybe if you're selling ice cream or if you're a politician, but if you're doing anything unique or independent, you're speaking to a niche audience of a few people that are like you. And those are the people that are going to identify with you and like you. And the DMs I get, the private comments are overwhelmingly very good. But if those people make public comments, some of them are very famous. Some of their names. But if they make public comments, then they get attacked by the public. So they send me private comments. So that's why I say regarding that interview that regardless of how some of the public comments appear, the private comments have been overwhelmingly good by UFC stars, other celebrity people, other well-known people, or people that are well accomplished. And I have to gauge it more like that of like, oh, other intelligent people are giving me credit like, oh, that was a difficult interview and you did extremely well. And I got to know your story, and that makes a lot of sense now. But if you look at the public comments, a lot of them are, trashing me,
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And then also, talking about obviously the Kamar not incident, but how they treated him, right? Do you believe that maybe MMA fans are the most toxic fan base out of all sports?
What's been amazing to me is oftentimes I've been to many of the fights, maybe 50 or so UFC fights, live in person. And I tend to sit in the front row, or, maybe I sit in the third row because I bought tickets last minute, then you're not getting front row tickets at that moment. But I tend to sit up front. And some of those tickets are expensive, man. Front row ticket might cost 10 or 12,000 a piece. Third row ticket might cost 6 or 8,000. Mm-hmm. And I've thought to myself, how can somebody afford to pay, they're sitting right next to you or behind you. How could they pay $5,000 or $8,000 for that ticket and then insult the fighters? It's like, if you liked them enough to be there, to spend that kind of money to be there, and some of the people in the audience, and obviously not everybody, but there's at every fight there's one. There's one of these people within earshot. At every fight there's like, piece of shit, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, wow, man, like, why you spend the time and money to come here if you don't respect these people? These are some of the hardest working. I think they're the hardest working athletes. That's a tough sport. I think it's the toughest sport. And all the guys tell me, when you win, you feel like you're on top of the world and everybody thinks you're a hero. And when you lose, they treat you terribly. It's a tough sport. I have a lot of respect for the fighters.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely couldn't be a fighter. I would just get too upset sometimes. But, let's talk more about you, I guess. And your real name is Dale, right?
Say my last name.
I'm gonna try to pronounce it. I'm gonna try to pronounce it. All right.
Go ahead. What do you got?
Buck Zakowski.
See, no, that's why it's changed to Moneyberg. Can you say what? You can say Moneyberg, no problem, right?
I can say Moneyberg, no problem.
And I'll say my legal name again.
All right, you ready? Dale Buck Zakowski.
Okay, so in Polish they pronounce it Buszkowski.
Oh.
But nobody can say the name, dude. Nobody can spell the name. Imagine typing that into like buszkowski.com. Imagine if that's the website instead of moneyberg.com.
Yeah.
What do you think that would do for sales and traffic?
Probably go down.
I agree. So, right here behind me, here's your university degree, Dale Buszkowski. Yeah. There's my second university degree, Dale Buszkowski. Master's degree, University of Chicago, Dale Buszkowski. But nobody can pronounce the name. So, you have a marketing name. Once in a while, somebody pokes at me for that. And they're like, that's not his real name. And I'm like, you thought that my real name was Moneyberg? Did somebody believe that?
I don't think so.
Can you imagine somebody stupid enough to believe that? Can you imagine that?
Yeah. I would understand that. I don't
wait till they find out. Wait till they find out that 50 Cent is not his real name. On his birth certificate, it says Curtis Jackson. Wait till they find out that Snoop Dogg is not his real name. They're going to be so disappointed. Wait till they find out the Easter Bunny is not real. They're going to be so bummed, the poor bastards.
I guess so. And you're also correct. You're half Polish, half Jewish, right?
I'm actually Jewish on my Polish side. So my father is 100% Polish. He was born in the United States, but my father's ancestors were Polish Jews. So yeah, technically I'm 25% Native American, and I'm half a Polish Jew, and then a 25% other European mix, I think.
Mm-hmm. Could you maybe, for some of the people that watch this, maybe don't know, could you tell us maybe something about like your upbringing?
Yeah, it kind of sucked. I grew up pretty poor, and my father went to prison when I was a child. I was 7 years old when my dad went to prison. My mother and I, unfortunately, didn't have the best relationship. My mother was I don't want to say the word abusive, but that's the right word. My mother was very rough with me, verbally and physically. And so yeah, I was at home with a rough mother and no father. And I had to figure a lot of things out early. I had to be like, all right, like, what are the things that I could do to make things better here,
Mm-hmm.
And when my dad went to prison, his brother was my only uncle. They both went to prison for drug dealing, for cocaine trafficking. And my aunt at the time, I was only 7, and it really put a lot of pressure on me. She said, I remember it was the day or the day after the sentencing for my father and my uncle, and I was with her and my mom, and she said, "You're the man of the house now, and you got to help your mother, pay the bills and take care of things." I was 7 years old, to give you some perspective. Here's a picture of me at 7 years old. Yeah, I'm a little child,
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
and that's the age that I start thinking about entrepreneurship. I start thinking about, oh well, what could I do to help my mom make some money to pay for shit? And I was like, well, I could like rake some leaves or cut the grass or shovel snow, which is too big to move a lawn or too small to move a lawnmower around, but I tried. And so yeah, that's when my entrepreneurial journey began. I was 7, and I felt like I was supposed to help out and do what I could.
Mm-hmm.
So just doing little shit that a kid could do. I had a paper route when I was 10. You'd help out, babysit or clean the neighbor's house while you were babysitting, or cut their grass, or any things that a child could do to try to make themselves useful. So those were some of the first entrepreneurial things that I was involved in.
Yeah, and then obviously talking about that, just growing up while your father went to jail and your mother didn't have a great relationship with. Who did you look? Did you even have someone to look up to? Maybe like, did you idolize anyone at that age?
I don't know. I have to think about that a little. I mean, you're a kid, so you looked at stuff like I remember looking at Hulk Hogan for rest in peace, Terry Hogan. Just wait till they find out that Hulk Hogan is not his real name. His name was Terry Hogan.
Yes.
His name was Terry. Wait till the poor bastards who are mad about my name find out that Hulk Hogan was not even named Hulk Hogan. It was named Terry Hogan. But I remember watching him and WWE. At that time it was called WWF wrestling. They did a name change, probably the time you were born, but it used to be called World Wrestling Federation. Yeah. And you'd look at that, and I seen like, you looked at martial arts movies like Chuck Norris or the old Bruce Lee movies, and I thought shit like that was really cool, man. Like I thought any kind of superhero shit of being like strong and being able to protect your family, defend yourself. I thought making money was cool because we didn't have money. Because when my father when my father went to prison, the government took a lot of the assets that he had. So I was just sitting with my mom on welfare, and we didn't have money. So for me, as I wanted to do stuff like that, I thought like, well, I need to earn some money. I want to be strong. I want to be a capable protector and a capable provider, which I think any good man should want to do those things. So those are kind of things that I looked up to, or the type of man that I aspired to be as a child, And I learned later, I remember as a teenager, I remember thinking, I was reading a lot of biographies. And so when you ask specifically were the people I looked up to, I was reading a lot of biographies, and more than any particular story, I was kind of looking at the commonalities of people that are successful, And I thought, people that are successful, they tend to be hardworking. They do a lot more work than a normal person. They tend to value education. They'd rather do it the best way than do it their way. And I always take that into my training, for instance, or anything. It's like if someone could show me a better way to do something, it doesn't hurt my feelings or my ego. I thank them sincerely. I think, thank you for helping banish some of my ignorance and show me a better way, So they tend to be hardworking, tend to be open-minded to criticism, or even enjoy criticism of like, how could I do it better? Some people call that conscientiousness. And I'd say a third thing is they tend to keep their word. They tend to be reliable and keep their word, And I really tried to embody those things. That I wanted to be a person that I was always learning things. And if you want to have friends, you have to be a good friend. And if you're a liar and a piece of shit, you're not going to have good friends, So it's important to keep your word no matter what. Important to work hard, and important to always be learning new things. And I think those are attributes that. From various people that I looked up to, or I wanted my life to be more like their life. Those were a few things that I took that I'm like, all right, this is very important. I must be this type of person.
Yeah. and then now being a wealthy, independent man. Do you talk to your mother or your father at this point?
My mother's dead, and my mother died in 2020. And yeah, I mean, my father wasn't around for my childhood, you know. So you know, I don't say anything bad about him, and you know, he never hit me. I don't think one time he ever hit me. I don't recall the time. Not that it's terrible if your parents hit you, but if they beat you for no reason, that's different than, you know, you did something that maybe you deserved a good slap or something. That's different. But my dad never hit me. He wasn't mean to me. He just wasn't there, you know. And so we had a different type of relationship. You know, once a year when he calls me or sends me a text message, I respond back to him. But you know, we're not close, or we don't have a traditional parent, you know, father-son type relationship, you know.
And at what age was it where you started making money and, you know, you moved out, you were independent?
I quit my last job when I was 19. I was working at Walmart, by the way. So I was 18, I got a seasonal job at Walmart, where I was unloading trucks and stocking shelves. And man, you know, I looked around at that loading dock. It's not even a permanent job. I was just there for like Christmas help, you know. I got hired for like maybe in October to do Christmas help for November, December, and you know, Black Friday and through the holiday season. And then if you did a really good job, they might keep you, or they might just cut you, and you know, you had a temporary job for a couple months. And I remember looking around on that loading dock, and it was cold, and there was snow blowing in, and it sucked. And I looked around at the other people, and I thought, everybody here is a fuck up, including me. Nobody's here because they want to be here. Nobody's here because it's their dream job. I thought everybody here is here because they're a fuck up. And I thought, if I can't do this job, this is a very important thought in my life. If I can't do better than these other people, then this is exactly where I deserve to be. And I thought to myself, I got to outperform everybody here. I got to think more clearly. I have to understand what are the key metrics that the company is trying to accomplish. How can I do that better than these other people? And that's a low bar, by the way. Or it's, you know, if you're working third shift at Walmart, your competition is not so great. But I thought, you know, if I can't overcome my current circumstances, that's what this choose to conquer means, is that, you know, you could choose, it's a lifestyle choice. You could choose to overcome your current circumstances and earn better circumstances. You could choose to have a better life. That I think success is a lifestyle choice in a first world country. But anyway, I took that same thinking or philosophy. I had to go to community college because I was a high school dropout. So that one's a community college degree. And that's my bachelor's degree, and my master's degree is over here. And when I was there, I remember, you know, I was, I don't know, 19, 20, and I was feeling, you know, honestly a little bit arrogant. And I remember having a conversation with myself, like, you know, you're being a little too smug, and you think you're better than these people. And I really had a conversation with myself about humility. And it's like, all right, if you're better than these people, then you have to have the same thought that you had at Walmart, that it should be no problem to go get A's and outperform them academically. And I did mostly have A's, you know. That degree says with honors, highest honors, also highest honors, you know. So I just kept that philosophy for my whole lifetime, man. I thought, like, if you want to do better than the other men, you're going to have to work harder and be smarter than the other men. There's no other way. That's the shortcut. And I really believed in mentors because of that. I thought the best way for me to get the things I want, this is an old Charlie Munger quote. Charlie Munger is the Warren Buffett's business partner for many decades. Charlie says the best way to get what you want in life is to deserve it. The world's not crazy enough to go around highly rewarding a bunch of undeserved people. And I took that to heart. And the other comments that I made about, you know, outperforming your competition, I said, all right, if I want to have better outcomes than the other men, then I need to work harder than them. I need to work smarter than them. And for that to work smarter than them, then I got to have good mentors, good teachers, good coaches. That's why I wanted to go to that. That was the number one business school in the country. Out of 416, was ranked number one when I graduated there. All right. And then, you know, then when I wanted to do martial arts, I wanted the best coaches in the world, you know. And Ariel made a comment like, the best coaches money could buy. I said, yeah, they are the best coaches money could buy. And they deserve to be paid well. There's a criticism about that. It's like, oh, you pay your coaches. No shit, I pay my coaches. Michael Jordan paid his fucking coaches too. Kamaru Usman pays his coaches. Of course I pay my coaches. I paid tuition to go to those universities as well. When I go to a
Yeah,
restaurant and they provide me a meal, I pay for the meal too, and then I leave them a tip and I say thank you if they give me good service.
Yeah.
So of course you pay your coaches, you fucking idiots.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, of course you pay credit. That doesn't make sense. But I mean, obviously, so going from a high school dropout to being really successful in college, what do you believe? Like, what do you think about a college degree? Do you think it's needed to be successful? What are your opinions on that?
Man, if you asked me 10 years ago, I would say you have to go to college. You have to. And today, I don't know, man. I don't feel the same way about it, unfortunately, because I think the university has changed a lot. Because when I was going to university, right here is just oddly, I have kept this, is my plaque, my name plaque from University of Chicago. And it just says on it, University of Chicago, it's like Booth School of Business, and it has your name. Okay. And then later on, they start putting pronouns and other crazy shit on there. So I think, well, nobody was confused when it just had your name. Some of the names are hard to pronounce, mine included. And there's some other people that have, the names from different countries or names you're not familiar with. But there was no confusion. Everybody was happy. Everything was good. If you go there today, you have to say, they, them, she, her, it, some weird shit. And I just wanted to go there and learn about finance and economics, man. I wanted to learn about accounting and finance and econ. And if I had to go to a school today where I'm not politically correct. I prefer factual correctness, which simply means reality. Yeah. I like reality. I like to understand reality more than this fantasy land nonsense. So, when they put too much of that indoctrination into nonsense rather than focus on teaching you useful things that'll help you earn a good living and be productive in society, I don't know if you should go to school today. I think if you're interested in a vocation, if you're interested, for instance, to be a doctor, like a medical doctor, then probably you have to go to university to be a medical doctor. I don't want a guy that didn't go to university, operating on my heart or something. That sounds dangerous to me. But there's a lot of skills that you could develop. If you wanted to study business today, I don't know that you need to go to university. If you wanted to study, there's a lot of money to be made in construction. There's a lot of people, you can make good money being a plumber or an electrician. Those people make a lot of money. And that doesn't mean you don't need an education. I think education is important. All I'm saying is that a modern day university isn't necessarily the best place to go to get an education, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I understand that. I don't know. I think so too a little bit. But all right. Well, also I wanted to know, what was the first real business or first serious money that you've ever made?
I don't know. Maybe the most important money was back when I was a little child there. Maybe the most important money is being a little kid. And I can answer your question a couple of ways, and there's not one answer, Yeah. Maybe that was the most important money, where you learned that nobody's coming to save you. You got to go take care of yourself. If you're going to be a man in the world, you got to go take care of yourself. And if you're going to be a good man, you also got to be able to protect your family and your loved ones. So maybe those are some of those harsh lessons as a child are some of the most important ones. We could make an argument that some the people don't see when you work hard on something for 20, 30 years, they don't see that part. They just see the results later. And then they say, this guy came out of nowhere and he's got all this money and he's paying all these coaches and he blah, blah, blah. And, they don't understand the 35 years of what you did before that. So, it's not like the one thing that happens later, it never would have happened without the work that happened before that. Once upon a time, I'm in Florida. You know who Mike Chandler is, yeah? The UFC guy? Yeah, Michael Chandler, yeah. So Mike Chandler and I were in Florida, Fort Lauderdale area near his gym. And he invited me to his home. We were spending time at his home for a bit. And I had a Rolls Royce car down there. It was a rental car. I own my own Rolls Royce now, but I was thinking about buying one. And I thought, well, maybe I should rent one a couple times and see what I think about it before I spend $800,000 on a car, Yeah, of course. So, and you could buy a cheap one for $500, but mine was more. So I liked a lot of features. But anyway, I had a Rolls Royce Phantom, and he and I were sitting in the back of the Phantom and just having a conversation. And we were just laughing. He says, man, I've been an athlete for every day for the last 20 years, I worked my ass off for 20 years and, wrestling, grinding, three-time Bellator champion. And at that time, he had just got signed to the UFC recently. Within the past year, I think he had just been signed. And now everybody's saying, like, oh, who's Mike Chandler? Like, this guy came out of nowhere. So, no, he was three-time champion at Bellator, which was not an easy thing. And he worked his ass off to be a good wrestler and, and develop good, good striking besides that. And, overall is pretty good, decent man, But we were both laughing about that. He's like, now it's like I'm an overnight success, he says. He's like, now they treat me like I'm some overnight success that came out of nowhere. He said, I've been working 20 years to be here. And I was laughing with him and saying, like, yeah, I only been working on business stuff for 30 years. And, then later on you make 50 million, and later I made more money. But at that time I had, 50 something million. And I say, yeah, then you got 50 million bucks. And they say, overnight success. Well, you didn't see me when I was fucking, have frostbite on my fingers from shoveling snow as a fucking 8-year-old, you don't see that part, but they call that an overnight success later.
I understand what you're saying. That's, I can understand that. My fingers aren't frozen when I was 8, but I do understand what you're saying. And let's go into the UFC since you talked about Michael Chandler. I'm a little curious. Who do you believe is the smartest financial mind among the fighters that you have met?
I mean, that's not the area of expertise, so you might as well ask me which one's the best tennis player. So that's not their area of expertise. Now, I do think there's some people that as a lifestyle, they tend to be more financially conservative and they think about their future. And there's a temptation, and I'm not making fun of this, by the way, but there's a temptation for any young man or woman who's not used to having money, and they're making some money, and they want to buy a nice car, and they want to buy fancy clothes, and they want to buy nice jewelry. And, I think that's dangerous. I think, I had a few $1 million, and I was driving a 2004 Honda. I had a 2004 Honda Accord with about, $4 or $5 million net worth. So could I buy a nicer car? Yeah. But I thought, well, nothing wrong with this car. It's been fine. And if I just keep making money and invest the money, later on I buy whatever the hell I want to. Buy 2 or 3 of them if I want to, Yeah. So that's how I thought about it. But I had already been thinking about money for a long time and thinking about business. So I think that's a dangerous thing that, some people, and it happens for every athlete. It's not just fighting. And frankly, it happens for any young person who came from a lack of resources, and now they have what looks like an abundance of resources to them, Mm-hmm. So a guy gets his UFC check, he wins a few fights, maybe he gets a $50K bonus, and he thinks, oh shit, I need to buy a $100,000 car. Well, no, after you pay the coaches, which they do, they got to pay their coaches too, by the way.
Of course.
So after you pay your coaches and you pay your manager and you pay taxes, you half of the money is gone. So, and that's life, So, I think the people who understood early, the people that can grasp that early is like, hey, it's better for me to live below my means. I don't need a fancy car right now. I don't need expensive luxury goods right now. It's good for me to just keep working and keep grinding and focus on the things that are creating the success. And if I invest my money well, then I can do very well in the future. I could have whatever I want. And there's a few people that are, they just thought that way more naturally, and I see they have better financial results, Mm-hmm. But I understand why there's a temptation to go blow the money, and that, you can only be a fighter for so long. If you had an amazing career, most people don't make it to age 40, If you had an amazing career, 45 is elderly. 45 is elderly.
Oh yeah.
So, that's a dangerous thing, man. It's but there's some smart people that, there is, as a general comment, there's kind of a public, some people in the public think that fighters are dumb, or they're just like, oh, some dumb guy punching each other. It's like, no, honestly, they're some of the hardest working and most intelligent people that I've met. The people that make it to the top are very intelligent. Mm-hmm. The people that make it to the top definitely have high IQ, great work ethic. And, I have a lot of respect for them. We have very good conversations.
Yeah, I mean, they're at the top for a reason, right? And also, I want to talk about this because it's talked about a lot. and I feel like you're the best person to talk about it, maybe. But thoughts on UFC pay? A lot of fans are saying it is too low compared to other sports.
Why don't they donate more of their own money and to give the fighters more? You know, I never say I've met Dana White maybe 7 times. You know, we've had a conversation. There was a time, I don't know, a bit over a year ago. I've been to several fights where President Trump is at the fights as well, and he sits right up front with Dana. So I think we were in New Jersey, and you know, President Trump is there. Dana's sitting right next to him. I was in the front row. And Dana looks over, he glances over, and he you know, somewhere in his head, I catch his eye, and he looks forward, then he kind of looks again, and he's sitting next to the president, and he stands up and he walks, you know, 40, 45 feet and comes over and shakes my hand and says hello, and has a little 90-second conversation with me, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think Dana's been, he doesn't owe me a goddamn thing, and I thought that was very polite or very respectful, very thoughtful. It's not even respect. It was very thoughtful of him that he thinks enough of me to stand up and walk, you know, leave the side of the president to come shake my hand and say hello for a minute. So we don't know each other well. We've had, you know, maybe we've talked for an hour total, you know, probably less than that, but we have several little interactions. People like to criticize that guy. And I think to myself, try to do a better fucking job than Dana White did.
Yeah.
So it's easy to be a critic, okay? It's real easy to sit on your ass and be a critic. There's a reason critics don't get paid much. Critics generally get paid nothing. So it's real easy to be a critic. But if you think that's an easy business, you know, Dana White took that from nothing, and you know, damn near bankrupt. And you know, what is today? It's probably worth 12 billion, 15 billion.
Yeah.
So if you think you could do a better job, go do it yourself and pay people whatever you want to. Pay them whatever you want to. If you think you can do a better job, do it. I think it's tough. I think Dana did a great job, and anybody in his position that for decades, you know, had to fight the wars that he's fought and do the things that he's did. I'm not going to criticize that guy. I think nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't think he's perfect, but I think he's done a damn good job. And I think that the people that criticize him, they wouldn't do 1% of what he's done. So I respect him, and you know, not much else to say about it. Go build your own business and pay people whatever you want to pay them. See how that goes for you.
I mean, yeah, he took it from, like you said, from nothing to multi-billion-dollar company. So you can't really complain much. And Moicano, you know Renato Moicano?
I've spoken to him on FaceTime. Yeah. I don't know him, but we know of each other, and we've talked before.
There's a statement that he says taxation is theft. Do you agree with this statement?
Inflation is theft. So I'm going to modify his statement, and then I'm going to go back to what you just said. I think inflation is a tax on stupid people that don't understand that it's devaluing their currency. It's devaluing their future purchasing power. And since the Federal Reserve Bank was instituted in 1913, the value of a dollar has gone down 98%, which means in 1913, if you were a millionaire, if you had $1 million, to have equal purchasing power today, you would have to have $50 million. Regarding taxes, you know, I don't really complain about taxes in general. And I kind of have 2 thoughts on it, and I'll state them briefly. I don't mind paying for, I'd like to have the strongest military in the world. I'm happy to live in the country that, you know, arguably has the best military in the world. I feel safer about our future because of that, you know. I don't mind paying for police and fire department. Even if I don't set the fire, you know, I'm not intentionally, but if an accidental fire happens, even if it's not my fault, if it's my neighbor's fault, I probably should still be willing to pay a fee to put out the fire before. It might be my neighbor's fault, but it could become my problem real soon, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't mind paying for roads. I don't mind paying for, you know, police, fire department. I think public education is a good thing to pay for, so long as you're actually teaching people something that matters. You're teaching them real history, not fake history. You teach them math, you teach them science, you teach them how to think well, how to think independently and make, you know, not indoctrination, but independent thought. I don't mind paying for those things. And, what I get annoyed with is when we're then, I think I'd agree with Moicano when we get into the context of welfare programs where, why am I paying my neighbor's rent? Why am I paying for, for somebody else's cell phone bill? I don't go to their home and have sex with their wife. I don't go to, why am I paying their bills? I don't think I should do that. So in that context, when, that when there's money, that's the place of a charity. And, and I'm just going off of the one-liner that you gave me from Moicano. There might be more context to what he says. Okay. And shout out to Moicano, by the way. He stole my name. He said Moneyberg, and he shortened it to Money Moicano. So I don't know.
He stole it.
He stole. Obviously, I'm joking, but shout out to Moicano. When you start taking money that a person would never give willingly, and you start spending it on nonsense, on welfare programs, on bribery schemes, which the government does plenty of, then yeah, that is theft. That's the place of a charity. If somebody cares about poor people, then you donate to a charity for the poor people. Mm-hmm. If somebody cares about a specific cause, then you should donate to that person should have the right to donate to that cause. And if you or I, we don't really care about that particular cause, we might prefer a different cause. You might prefer the cause of spending more money on your own children. Yeah. You might prefer the cause of spending more money on your wife's jewelry. That's perfectly fine. It should be your choice. So in that context, I agree that taking money from someone to then, it's basically a bribery scheme that all governments do, where they piss off a few people with high taxes, and then they redistribute that money to more people so they can buy votes from those other people. It's not right. And I agree with him in that context. If that's the way he means it, in that context, I agree. And if that's not the way he means it, in that context, I still agree with those words that I think taxation is theft in that context. If the government's taking money for you forcefully and giving it to something that you would never support, I think that's wrong. I think it's morally wrong, and it's not the place of the government.
Yeah. And then I want to switch to another topic. At one point, you were a dating advisor. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about that era of your life?
There was a company called Real Social Dynamics. For some people, this is a controversial topic. I think it's, I laugh about that. But that company, I think the founders, I never owned that company, but I was around the founders. They were friends of mine. And then later I was on their board of advisors, board of directors. And then later I worked as a coach within the company. And we built a company from nothing. They were there. The co-founder was living in a closet. He was living in a master bedroom closet, and a mattress, and in a big closet. We turned that into. I don't know if it's right for me to talk about their numbers, but we turned it into a significant company that was making real money. Mm-hmm. And I'll talk about my own numbers within the company. When I left that company a few years ago, like 2019. My personal brand within that company, I brought in $6.25 million in revenue. And what do we do to get that money? It's like in that type of business where men are interested in meeting women, just like in every other area of life, you have some people that want instant results that they don't deserve. And I don't want to work with those people. I don't work with them in my current business, and I refuse to work with them in that business. And I would tell them that, if you're the type of man that wants to have an excellent dating life and you want to be dating excellent women, and eventually you might like to settle down with one of those excellent women, then you're going to have to be an excellent man. You're going to have to be her best option. Why would the girl choose you if you're not her best option? Why would she choose some guy who's some fucking bum? All right. So I taught guys many of the same things that you and I are talking about today, that the best way to get what you want in life is to deserve it. If you want to have great outcomes, if you want to have things the other men don't have, you're going to have to do things the other men can't do. You're going to have to be smarter and or harder working than the other men. So I talked about a lot of things like that, or the main things that I help them with is, making sure to raise their value, making sure that you're learning new things, that you're doing things that increase your income, increase your education, give you access to high quality peers, high quality friends. I think that's very important, and a woman is attracted to that she'd like to be around a resourceful man that has high quality friends, has a good brain, has financial resources. Any woman would want that for herself and her children.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say secondarily that the majority of my clients, they were already above average men. And today in my current business, that's also true, that I don't give a shit what the bottom 50% says. And I'm not offending anybody that I'm offending 0 people who would be my client.
Yeah,
it's the people that, when I say that, I'm indicating to a potential client, hey, if you're an above average person, if you're already doing well, but you know you could be doing even better, and you want to be doing better in finance, in real estate, in entrepreneurship, if you want your financial life better, I can help you with that.
Yeah.
But not if you're dumb and not if you're lazy.
Yeah.
So if you're already doing well and you want to be doing even better, I can help you with that. Mm-hmm. That's the same type of client that I helped in that other business, in the dating business, was a person who, most of the clients were college educated. Many of them went to graduate school. Many of them were business owners. And these were people that they spent all of their 20s, say, working on their business or working on their career, working on their education. And they were just kind of stiff and nerdy and like didn't know how to talk to a girl very well, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So these were guys that were above average in value, but they needed a little help, like learn to be at ease and be able to communicate better and feel comfortable, like, oh, I am a good man and I am a good option. And I should feel comfortable speaking to a woman that, you know, many women wish if they knew who I was, they'd be happy to date me. So now it's my job to communicate to them, you know, that I'm a good man. I'm living my life in a way that you'd be proud to have a man like this as your husband or your long-term boyfriend. You'd be proud to have children with a man like this.
Yeah.
So I worked with guys like that, and I'm proud of that. A lot of people got married. A lot of people had children. I was invited to weddings because of that. So some people try to talk about it like it's some controversy. I'm very proud of what I did there. I helped a lot of people live a better life, and I got paid well while I was doing it. I traveled around the world. It was great. It was amazing.
Yeah. Well, I have a fun question talking about that maybe. What's your opinion on pickup lines?
If you need anything more elaborate than like, I mean, I think like my favorite pickup line ever is maybe like, you know, hey, I'm Dale. What's your name? Or hey, I'm Derek. What's your name? If you can't make that work, if you couldn't walk up to a pretty woman and simply introduce yourself and start a conversation, there's no other magical incantation or magical words that would help you. You should be able, that should be sufficient, that you could walk up to an attractive woman and interrupt her. You know, the guys would say, "Oh, I feel like I'm interrupting her." I'm like, you are interrupting her. You are interrupting her. If you don't interrupt her, she's going to carry on with her life without you. But there's a difference in the way that you interrupt somebody. If you're interrupting her life like a beggar, you're begging for a coin, like, "Miss, excuse me, miss, could I please have a coin? Could I have a nickel? Could I have a nickel for drugs?" If you're a fucking loser and you approach her and interrupt her like that, then she's going to treat you appropriately. On the other hand, if you interrupt her life for the better, if you interrupt her life and showed her a better option, she'd probably be happy. She'll thank you 30 years later. Like, I'm so happy you came and talked to me that night, and we spent these decades together and built a beautiful family and a beautiful life together. Yeah. So there's a very big difference of interrupting her life to make it better, or interrupting her life like a beggar.
Yeah, understandable. And also, a lot of people compare maybe your career path to Andrew Tate, you know, both starting and dating, transitioning to business and combat sports, of course. What is your opinion on Andrew Tate?
He asked me to do an interview with him a couple of years ago before he had that, whatever happened, the legal issues that came up overseas. I don't know all the details of that, but I think he was in, what the hell country? Not Hungary, the other country. I've been there. I can't think of the name of the country right now. I'm sorry.
Romania?
What country am I thinking of? Romania. Yeah, Bucharest. Now he asked me to do an interview at one time, and I like to do interviews in person generally. And we had a little logistical trouble setting that up. I don't know. I think I don't know the guy well. We've been in the same room together at least once. A separate time, I seen him at the fights together. He was at a UFC fight. I saw him there. I never had a conversation with him in person. The sound bites that I hear, and you can do a lot of creative editing, so I don't know. But the sound bites that I hear, I think some things he says make a lot of sense to me. And some things he says, you know, they seem a little unnecessary, or he's kind of doing that for shock value. And to some extent, that's his brand or his sincere personality. And he has the right to do that. I'm not necessarily criticizing it, but yeah, I don't know the guy well enough to have any strong opinion, but overall, I think he's been an inspiration to some young men to be more independent thinking. And I think he's been an inspiration to fight back some of this political correct nonsense. So I like that part about him. And he looks like he's a pretty talented kickboxer. So
very.
I mean, good for him. I hope he has a good life.
Yeah, well, yeah. He actually has a fight coming up soon, but that would be cool. And BJJ and mentality, obviously something I want to talk about with you. You earned your BJJ black belt in under 4 years. It's pretty rare. What did your daily routine look like, heading into that?
I trained my ass off every day, and I brought in the best coaches in the world to help me. It's not even controversial. It's only controversial to idiots. There's two groups of people it's controversial to. There's some people that are so stupid, they don't even know they're stupid. There's something called Dunning-Kruger effect. It literally means that you're too dumb to know you're dumb. So for those people, they're like, you can't do it. That takes 12 years. Moneyberg, you can't do that in 3.5 years. It takes 12 years, 15 years. It's like, well, maybe it'd take you 15 years with that type of thinking, but it didn't take me that long. There's a second group of people that are traditionalists, and I don't mean to make fun of them. I don't care to make fun of their tradition, okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm not insulting them, even though some of them insult me. But there are a subset of Brazilian jiu-jitsu traditionalists that they say that, you have to do it a certain way. You have all these certain, rituals and customs, and you have to wear a gi, and you have to this and that. And like, no, I trained no gi. I trained for MMA fighting. I wasn't just training BJJ. And I'd say that my jiu-jitsu skills are, more close to overall grappling skills. I trained wrestling, and I brought wrestlers over here, including Mike Chandler we mentioned earlier. I brought wrestlers, Henry Cejudo, a few other people. That throw me on my ass a few hundred times until I figure out how to defend a single leg and a double leg and some basic takedowns, And it's not even controversial, for those people that you got to wear a gi and you got to do this and you got to And I'm like, you know what? Did I develop the skills when I go grapple with some of the UFC guys? Like, I'm not a professional fighter, but all my coaches are. So if I go grapple with those guys, can I hold my own against, most anybody? Yeah. Can I beat some of them? Yeah. And I'm not a professional fighter, And then people say, release the footage. So you're telling me, I had some of the best people in the world come over here and help me. And they spent 3 years. Some of them spent 3 years with me. Jake Shields next month, it'll be 4 years ago we started training. Paulie Malignaggi came 4 years ago. Paulie started working on boxing with me 4 years ago. And shout out to Paulie. Paulie just had a fight a few days ago. He won his fight, but he had a pretty bad eye injury. And I hope he heals up well. Paulie's been a good friend to me. He really helped me with my fundamentals of boxing, and is a very honorable man. Is a guy I have a lot of respect for. But, I bring these guys over here to help me. They teach me in such a level of detail that they might only teach like their best friend / training partner from their career, or maybe the way they would teach their son.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, first of all, I don't go film a bunch of shit. I don't like cameras following me. I'm not a streamer. I'm not a streamer. When I go piss, there don't need to be a camera there. I don't need a microphone next to my dick when I piss, so some weirdo at home can listen to that. It's none of his business. It's none of his business. Okay. And I don't want to make him jealous. If he's seen that, he'd probably lose sleep at night, be salivating or something weird. Who knows? They keep asking about my feet, so I bet there'd be some other interest too. They're salivating about my feet.
About your feet?
Oh, they keep saying about socks. You wear socks on the mat. You wear socks. You can't do jujitsu with socks. Like, I can't defend myself with socks on. Are you serious? Like,
it might be a little bit harder. It's slippery.
Hey, bro, I got my own fucking facilities, and I'm not working out in a gym that's 85 degrees and there's 70 guys sweating in there. Okay, there's me and 1 or 2 people, so it's no problem. There's no problem. But
no, I'm saying it'd be harder. It'd probably be harder for you. Yeah.
But I don't. Sometimes I wear socks. Sometimes I don't. I actually just replaced my mats. So the old mats were a little more rubbery and sticky, and the socks were no problem. The new mats, when they first come, they're Fuji mats. And when they first come, they were a little slippery. And then after they get cleaned like, 20, 30 times, now they're more sticky. And I'm like, okay, good. So now I can wear my socks again. But if first I couldn't wear my socks on those mats. Now we're back to socks, so don't worry. Now your audience knows. Breaking news. Moneyberg's thought on socks.
Yes.
Regarding the 3.5 years, 4 years, whatever, it's like, dude, if you ever play basketball?
Yeah, of course.
All right. You pretty good basketball player? You're an okay basketball player?
I'm all right. I'm pretty good.
All right. So imagine you spent, imagine you had no basketball training. Imagine you never touched a fucking basketball.
Yeah.
But now you got the opportunity to work out. You're going to spend the next 3 years and 7 months, okay?
Yeah.
And Michael Jordan's going to be your primary coach. All right. But when Michael's busy, you're going to bring over LeBron James. Yeah. You're going to bring over Dwayne Wade. You're going to bring over any other number of people, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, all these other, whoever the young guys are, who I don't know who they are, that are the great basketball players today. You're going to bring them over too. Kobe Bryant is still alive. He's coming to help you. So imagine you got 15 people that are coming all the time. And then you got 20 more people that are that caliber that come fill in on occasion. Are you telling me in 3 years and 7 months, you wouldn't be a pretty damn good basketball player?
I think I'd be pretty good, but I think, this is my opinion. I think I would, like any college basketball player, I'd probably get smoked by.
If you had those guys training with you, if you had 3,000 hours training with those coaches, you get smoked by a normal college basketball player?
College, yes. Yeah, I think so.
I don't know about that. I don't think you'd. That doesn't mean that you would be Michael Jordan. I don't think that when I go grapple with Gordon Ryan, I don't have any confusion that I don't have the same grappling skills as Gordon Ryan. But goddamn, he's amazing. He's the best grappler in the world ever. I've had the great fortune we have a good friendship together. Learned a lot of things from him. I don't have any confusion that my skill set is on the level of his skill set. But I learned an awful lot about self-defense. I learned an awful lot about fighting with these guys. And it's not even a controversial thing. I think if somebody's upset by that, I think it says more about their mentality or their level of their ability to think. How much should that cut your learning curve if you worked, significantly harder and had that coaching team? Should you not get, should you not advance 2.5 or 3 times faster than a guy going through the normal route? Well, then you just answered the question.
Yeah, well, 100%. But I don't think I would still be on their level. I think I would,
I didn't say them on their level. I didn't say that I'm Michael Jordan, and I didn't. I'm not arguing with you, by the way. I'm just clarifying. Mm-hmm. I didn't say that I would be Michael Jordan just because I trained with Michael Jordan. I didn't say that I would be Gordon Ryan level just because I trained with Gordon Ryan. That's not true. I never said that, and I don't believe that. But if you have the best coaches in the world and you put in that amount of effort, you put in the same hours with the best coaches in the world, you're going to fuck up plenty of black belts. I'd be able to fuck up plenty of black belts. No problem. And I go to their gym. I went to Texas recently. I go to Gordon's gym, John Danaher's gym. I trained with a bunch of the guys there. I went to Glover Teixeira's gym last month. I trained with the top guys over there. They're all black belts. No problem. We're good. So this is not a controversy to anybody that knows me. This is only a controversy to people on the internet that they don't want to believe that to be true, either out of stupidity or jealousy, in my opinion. And I know when I say that, then there'll be a bunch of hate comments, but I think it's true. I think it's either out of stupidity or jealousy, because smart people, they would just be like, yeah, if I trained with those level of people, would my skill set be accelerated by a 2.5 or 3x? Yeah, obviously. To any thinking person, obviously. It shouldn't even be controversial. It's only controversial to people who can't do math, or they just want to be a hater. They're just jealous.
Yeah. And then also, obviously I've seen the Ariel Helwani, and you spoke about something with Sean Strickland. What do you think the percent is that a match actually happens realistically?
We have a legal matter that has to be resolved. And I asked him to his face, respectfully, politely. I don't even talk bad about Sean Strickland, man. I don't call him mean names. I don't say anything bad about him. It's a guy who I think he's a very talented fighter. I respect the guy in general. I think sometimes he says some crazy shit that's kind of, not relatable to me. But other time he says some crazy shit that I'm like, yeah, he's right. I agree. So I don't talk bad about the guy. It kind of bothered me that he never met me before, and then he went out of his way to say a lot of very untrue. He repeated a lot of lies that other people have told. He invented some new lies of his own, and that's a problem. So now we have a legal dispute. But before he kind of boxed us into that corner that we're going to have a lawsuit, then I did ask him, respectfully and politely, not in a threatening way or a challenging way, like respectfully, the way that I asked any of the world champions, like, come train with me.
Yeah.
Before there was any beef, I asked him twice, hey, come do an interview with me. He never did that. After he started talking shit, I said, well, if you believe that, then just come train with me.
Yeah.
Just come see for yourself. And I said that in a respectful way, not like I'm challenging him to a fight. It's like, if you believe that, then take the time to come see for yourself and come poke at me, and probably I could learn something from you. He's a talented fighter. You don't accidentally become a UFC champion.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I respect that about him, and I didn't want any beef with him, but he just kept saying such crazy things and negative things that he's put me in a situation that now it has to be a legal issue. It's harming my business and harming my reputation, and I can't have that. So that would have to be resolved first. And then regarding a match, I asked him, again, face to face and respectfully. I said, hey, we were both near Glover Teixeira's gym, and Alex Pereira was having his training camp there for his recent fight in October, and Strickland and I ended up staying at the same hotel near the gym. And I said, hey, if you believe that, like, come to the gym with me. I'm going back to the gym in an hour. If you believe I suck. You like come to I'm just here to take a shower. We can go back to the gym together, and you come test me, come see. Yeah. And again, I'm saying in a respectful way, not in a threatening way, not in a challenging way. Like, yeah, come roll with me and see for yourself, and let me know what you think. If there's something I could do better, I'd be grateful for the feedback. That's my attitude about it. And then he don't want to do that, and I'm like, Sean, I don't even think you believe the shit you're saying, but if you actually believe that, I'll do a public match with you. Yeah. And I don't think you could tap me in 5 minutes. That was the challenge that I said to him. It's like, if you think my belt is bullshit, like, we could do a public match. I don't think you can tap me in 5 minutes. I don't think I'd beat him in a UFC fight either, by the way. I think he's 12 years younger than me. He's very talented, and I respect his fight skills. But I don't think he's a better grappler than I am. I sincerely don't believe that. I don't think he's a better grappler than I am.
All right. So, like, you probably think you would tap him, right?
I don't think that would be easy. I'm not saying that I would tap him, but I'm saying he wouldn't. What I do feel confident to say is I don't think he would tap me in 5 minutes. Maybe I could tap him. Maybe I couldn't. I don't know. I don't know.
And obviously what he said was upsetting. It's rude. But some people say all publicity is good publicity. Are you anyway or any sorts somewhat happy this happened just because it brings you more of the light, maybe, perchance?
You know what? I don't. He can have any opinion he wants to about my black belt. He's a subject matter expert in that area. He has a black belt. He has a UFC belt. He's a subject matter expert in that area, and legally and frankly, just being reasonable, he could have whatever any honest opinion he has about that, or even somewhat sensationalized opinion he has about that. Okay. But when he starts insulting my character and telling lies about my character and lies about my business practice, and does that in a malicious way that's intended to harm me and harm my business, nobody has the right to do that. That's what the legal system is for. That's why the legal system exists.
Yeah.
So for the people in the comments that think is like, oh, you guys should just fight. It's like, that's what the legal system is for. I'm a 46-year-old businessman. And when you attack my business, you go to court. And by the way, I only sued 2 people ever. This is going to be the 3rd lawsuit. Yeah. And no one's ever sued me. Someday they will, because that's how life is. But I don't go looking for lawsuits. If you look at any of my content on YouTube, I don't go make fun of people or poke at people. I bring them on my show. They tell their story. I tell some of my story. We talk together. And I don't put this clickbait shit out to try to hurt people. I try to make people look good. I have a lot of respect for that sport. And, but for jiu-jitsu and for martial arts in general, like I said, when I was a child, I was looking at, some of those martial artists, Chuck Norris is top of mind, Hulk Hogan, who, at that time you think is a martial artist. He's an amazing athlete. He's kind of an actor. That's kind of an entertainment business more than, what you would call martial arts in some ways. but he was an amazing athlete, and I looked up to those people, and I still look up to those people. I have a lot of respect for them, so I don't want to make them look bad. I don't want to have beef with any of them. I'd like to train together and learn from them, and if I can help them with something too, that's great. But I don't like this type of. I'm not out looking for dramas and controversies, man. I'd rather go build something together and be productive together.
That sounds smart. And then also, last question for any of your supporters or maybe even the haters out there. What are a couple of words you'd like to say to them right now watching?
I like this choose to conquer saying. It's not accidental. It's like wherever you're at right now, for people that are doing well, but you could be doing even better. That's exactly my target market of the people that I like to help. That they know that there's no get rich quick, man. It doesn't exist. There's no. You're not going to achieve huge things without putting in the effort. But for people that know that already, for people that already accomplished something, and they're a little frustrated with their life. They're like, man, I worked my ass off. I did all the things I was told I was supposed to do, and I'm not getting the results that I'd like. So I can help you with that in the areas of business. I can help you with that you can have more financial freedom, more financial independence. If you're willing to learn and you're willing to work, there's a lot of people that I've helped with that, and I could help you too. And I would say when you say to a hater or a detractor, and I don't even mean to make fun. I just want to say this objectively. It's like a hater is a fan. A hater is just a fan who's disappointed with himself. A hater is a jealous fan. And the number one thing a hater hates is not me, it's not you, it's not somebody else. The number one thing a hater hates is himself. And you got to get past that, man. You got to just be objective. If you've been underperforming in life and you're jealous about somebody else's life, or you're mad that somebody is doing better than you, and it's really hard to advance that way. It's really hard to advance that way, and you're going to be stuck where you're at. If I was thinking that way, I'd still be on that damn loading dock back at Walmart. And if you could change your thought, if you had a more productive thought, pretty soon you'd engage in a more productive behavior. And if you engaged in a more productive behavior over time, pretty soon you'd have more productive outcomes. And then when you see that cycle where you're like, oh, if I learned more, I could earn more. If I knew better, I could do better, and I'd earn better outcomes in life. And don't be a hater. Critics don't get paid, man. You don't get paid to be a critic. You don't get paid to be a hater. You're hurting yourself. It don't hurt my feelings. When I read some nasty comment, it's like, it don't hurt I don't think anything of it. Most of them I never see. And the ones that I do see, I'm just like, wow, this poor guy. This is a true story. There's one guy, he says something, I don't remember, it was like a month ago. He says something so nasty, and it was long, and I'm just like, wow, like you wrote me 3 paragraphs of insults and wishing for bad things to happen to me. And I'm like, who thinks this way? And like, I was just kind of curious, and I clicked on their profile. And when I looked at the guy's life, I was just like, wow, like this poor guy is living so rough, It's like, he's not mad at me, and there was no insult I could, I don't even want to insult him, but there's no insult I could even say that was worse than his real life. So I think wherever you're at in life, you just have to accept, hey, these are my current circumstances. My past behaviors led me to here. And if I want to have better circumstances in the future, I'm going to have to learn some new things and behave somewhat differently. And, if I can be an example in some way to inspire somebody to, to learn more and earn more, or to just do the few things that I said, you got to be able to outwork the other men and outthink the other men if you want better outcomes. So I would just encourage them to wake up to that and, do better, man. Choose to conquer. Choose to build a better life for yourself. Even you might be mad at yourself right now. And I'm not saying it as an insult. I mean this very sincerely. Even a guy that's a hater right now, and a guy who's, he wants to be a critic, he wants to be a detractor. Well, how much are you getting paid for that, bro? How's that helping your life? It's not helping you. You're not hurting me. It helps my engagement for some of those things, So that's true in some contexts. In some contexts, that's true. So you're not hurting me, but you are hurting yourself. And I'd encourage you to, just reflect a little bit more about your current circumstances and start to think how I did as a child, of like, as a little boy, like, well, what could I do better? What could I learn to do to make a couple dollars? And then how could I compound that? And over time, you can make your life a lot better, man. You could do a lot better than you think you could. And I'm rooting for those guys. I'm not mad at them. A hater is just a jealous fan, and they're mad at themselves. They're not mad at me. So I sincerely, I really mean this. I sincerely hope they do better. I hope they choose to conquer. I hope they choose to earn better circumstances for themselves. I'm not mad at those guys. I don't want to put them down, you know?
Okay, well, thank you so much, Derek Moneyberg, Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and maybe someday fighting Sean Strickland. So thank you so much for your time, and that was great.
So, have a good day. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. Same with you.